Good morning everyone on this lovely, chilly, but bright and sunny. What a gorgeous bloody day it's going to turn out to be. Saturday morning. It's the week after, or the weekend after fitting the heat pump. Yeah, wow. What a flipping difference that thing makes. I can't get over, I should have done it before. I should have done it when I first built the pond. Why I didn't, well, probably money wise, but there we go. Absolute flipping game changer. Yeah, if you can do it, if you can afford it, but get a heat pump on your pond. It'll change your hobby. So yeah, like I was saying, the heat pump's been on, well it's Saturday now and it went on last Sunday, so 6 days. Absolute game changer. Like, it brought it up from, where were we sat Sunday? We were probably sat around 9 degrees, something around that. No, 8.5 it was, 8.5, and it brought it up to 10 within 2 hours on Sunday night. And then, like I said in the other video, I think Monday morning when I went to work, I clicked it up to 12, and from 6 o'clock in the morning when I clicked it up to 12 degrees, it come from 10 degrees to 12 by about midday. It was a cold morning, but yeah, really impressed. I'm slowly doing my pipe lagging as well, just to try and help it. But I must admit, I'm not a big fan of that. It's a bit of a rubbish job. Every time I start it I do a bit and then I go, oh, I can't be bothered. It's a bit of a monotonous job. I've got the worst of it done. Those bits were the worst, because it's a 90 and then a 45 in that short piece there. And the ball valves are actually really easy to do. You can just wrap it round and then take the proverbial out of it. And then I've just got that little bit left there to do. Tidied up that foam that went through into it, and yeah, then we should be all lagged up. That's made a bit of a difference. Like the just trying to get the temperature that comes out the pond and then through the heat pump back into the pond as efficient as possible. So I've also done a little bit in the filter shed. Made a bit of a step there, just so anyone that isn't me, that doesn't know like where everything is in here, just so they don't step on that pipework back into the pond. Lagged that bit there, lagged all the way under there because it's on the floor, and lagged up into the UV. And then I thought, well, there's not a lot of point doing that, because that's pretty much open to the atmosphere and everything here is going to be the same temperature, whether it's you know, air temperature, so I ain't going to lose that much because everything's inside in here. The same as the pipework from the pump down here. Like, I can't really get much lagging around that because it's too tight to everything. So I've started from there, and then the plan for today is put a bit of a workbench just below that plug socket and level with the top of the Nexus. Just a bit of a workbench to do some stuff. I'm trying to find an old kitchen or bathroom unit to go in there. There's a bit of a cupboard, but I went to B&Q last night and I ain't paying like 100 odd quid by the time you put a unit in there. I just find one on Facebook sales when something crops up, or I'll just put some cheap shelves in there for now. I've got some brackets and a bit of old decking board, a bit like I've done that one, a bit of decking board. But yeah, like you say, fish are looking good. All they want to have is food. So yeah, we'll have a bit of a day tinkering around the koi pond. Fish seem to be doing alright. They're sat at 12.5 degrees, something like that. I'm just feeding a bit of wheat germ 3 or 4 times a day, probably roughly around 50 grams, something like that. Nothing major, just trying to build it up slowly. Yeah, they all seem to be doing okay. Yeah. A few of these got to be moved on, ready for the fish coming back from Japan. Yeah, one of those chags have got to be moved on. They were a good little addition, but yeah, a bit of fun growing on some chags. All they want to do is eat. A little Prachina, Ginrin Prachina, and the Yamabuki. That Shishui, I've got to move that Shishui on. This thing, Christ, all it wants to do is eat. I don't think I could ever overfeed that thing. Jesus Christ. Bit of cart pox on the chags, but I'm not worried about that. As soon as the temperature comes up, that'll disappear. It ain't mither in them at all. Like, and those I actually had when I got those as small tozai. They come in, I think it was May last year. That's the other chag, and they were like 15 cm, and now they're like 35. They've grown really, really well last year. Just grown like weeds. They have. They're from Marudo. Yeah, they've grown really, really well. I bought 2, so I thought we'll just have 2 as a pair and then see how they go on. Both lovely fish. This fish is a bit more of a, it's got more of a better body to it. Slightly, as the shoulders come into the head, much more proportional fish. The other one down there, by contrast, actually has probably got a little bit better ginrin, but a slightly more bronzer colour than the other one that's like a bit more of a grey colour. But the body's okay on it, but if you get them side by side, you can see the differences in the body. So yeah, they all seem pretty happy, and yeah, as soon as I go in there, they just want some food, but just trying to stop myself from putting too much in too soon. What an absolute gorgeous morning it's turning out to be here. The sun's out, blue sky. Yeah, should be brilliant. The sun rises here over those trees over there, comes in a full arc over the sky and sets behind those trees there. We've got a wood in front of us and a wood behind us. It sort of limits us a little bit with sunshine on the pond. It's not too bad in the summer. This time of year it's fairly restricted. But as you can see, the sunlight's just come onto the top of the polycard roof there. That normally gets there probably about 10 o'clock in the summer, and then it's in full sunlight till probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, it makes that sort of greenhouse effect on top of the pond. One thing I've found this week running the air source heat pump is it's come on a little bit in the mornings, just topped it up, but as soon as the sun gets on the roof there, the actual heat coming through the roof, I suppose it's UV more than anything, and then heating up the pond like it used to, actually overtakes the air source heat pump, and it shuts off pretty quick actually during the day. It sort of comes on for maybe an hour in the morning, tops it back up, and then as soon as the sun gets on it, probably now 10, 11ish in the winter, it won't be long, midday dinner time, and then it's off then. So literally, I think this week, bringing it up from 8.5, 9 to 10, and then running it at 12 all week, it's cost me about £2.50, which, to be perfectly honest, I was expecting a lot more. So yeah, pretty pleased with that. One thing I have done with the air source heat pump is I'm running it on a Tapo power metering plug. Now you've got to be careful which one you get, because the ones I've got on the lights over there, the one that does the light in the filter shed, one that does the light in the koi pond, and I've actually got the Fujimac on one as well, because when I look on the camera, what it means you can do, I turn the Fujimac off and it just stops the air bar, and it actually cuts the Nexus off as well, but if I turn it back on it's fine. And it just means I can look through the camera a bit better with no disturbance of the water bubbling on top of the pond. But yeah, you've got to be careful because there's 2 types. There's the older type, there's the P100s, which are ones on the lights and the air pump. But what you have to get for the energy monitoring is the P101M, and then that's got the energy monitoring software in it, I suppose, to be able to do it all on the app on your phone. And it's simple enough. You just put in your cost per kilowatt hour and it just works it out, and it's really good actually. You can see when it's on how much it's pulling, how much it's got, like live wattage of what the air source is running at. To be honest, I'm really impressed with it. With it being the inverter one, it normally, like as it's running now, I just looked on my phone before, I think it's running at pretty much like between 200 and 300 watt, and it's just ticking along now, topping the pond up. That's at 12.6 at the minute. I mean, that it shut off at 13 because it's got a degree each way difference, and then, like you say, it won't be long. The sun will be on the top of the roof. That's still just ticking along, 200 or 300 watts, and yeah, it's quite efficient, really. There you go. Just clicked to 12.7, 12.8. There you go. 12.7, flickering between the two. Oh, 12.6 again now. It'll do that, and then all of a sudden, it'll be 13, and it'll be clicked off like so. And they say it's only running at like 200, 300 watts, so it's pretty efficient, really. I think the most that I've seen it draw on the app is about 900 watt or 0.9 of a kilowatt, where it just spiked up and started up first thing in the morning. And like you say, if you work it out on what I'm on per hour, I think, yeah, it's only like, even if that comes on for an hour in the morning, it's only going to cost you like 25p. Well, Christ alive, even if it runs for 4 hours, it's only the cost of a chocolate bar, like, isn't it? So we probably can't even buy a chocolate bar for a quid nowadays, flipping out. There we go then, just mocked up a bit of a frame, just so I can have a bit of a workbench there, and just to be able to do a few bits and bobs. Take half an hour or so to do that. Just knocked it up, bit of a leg for it to stand on there. Let's get a bit of a top on it, and then might put some shelves up there as well, to be fair. Just see where the day takes me, really. Job done. Little bench knocked up. Just had to fold them up out the way, and yeah, a bit of storage under there and a bit of space to do a few bits and bobs now. Spot on. This just proves the point, actually, from before, what I was on about. So you see the sun's come round now, and it's really has up the temperature in here. So water temp is 12.5, and then, like, as soon as the sun gets on this roof, like, the air temperature, which is the bottom one, so we're at 14.5. So it really does prove the point that sort of putting your pond in a greenhouse is just, you're halfway there to heating, pretty much. So hopefully this summer, along with that roof and the air source heat pump, we should be able to get these fish on some good growth food. Good morning, it's Sunday morning now. Skip forward a bit, did a few other little jobs yesterday afternoon. Got the water feeder out, and did a bit of work outside here as well, which you can see there actually. I'll show you actually here now. So the old outside bits used to have these white sort of poppers that are the same for the roof, and you get with polycarb sheet and that sort of thing. I just thought it was a bit of an eyesore. Like, the window's still the same, the bit that pops up in the summer or whenever you want to open it, but I've just changed it to pieces of wood and strips, making an out frame, which look real nice actually, to be fair. Because the idea this summer is I'm going to have the auto feeder up in the back of the pond instead of down this end of the pond, and I can just take the window out and just fill it up then. It's a lot easier. Let's have a look in the filter shed. So yeah, I give that a bit of a lick of paint yesterday. We were being just hardwood ply, and it drips like mad in here. Bloody condensation, but hey ho, nature of the beast. Yeah, I've given that one lick of paint. Charged the auto feeder up. Just one of the EA ones, nothing special. It does the job. It does enough feeds that I need to do. I mean, it's not OTT. It doesn't flick it too far either. They're alright, they're good little feeders. I think between these and the green, I think, what are they, Fishmate P7000s, I think between them two feeders, you know, they'll do the job, like while you're in work and that sort of thing. So yeah, that feeder's going to go over in that corner this year, and because it used to be in this corner, and it was alright, but it sort of spoiled the view of the fish a little bit, like, because you couldn't really stand here and watch. Fish are looking pretty good, to be fair. Enjoying the sun. Talking of that, like I was on about yesterday, with you can see the sun coming through here now. So water temp of 11.7 and air temp of 17.5. It just proves the point that, like, now the reason why mine's pond is in a greenhouse is because of the otter issue and everything I had, but it's sort of might be a bit of a blessing in disguise, because I'm halfway to keeping the pond heated just by having it in a greenhouse. But there you go, some people think it looks a bit unsightly, but at the same time, you know, you're spending a lot of money on these fish, like, and you got to keep them safe, like, ain't you? You don't be spending, you know, hundreds of pounds on fish for them to get eaten or even jump out. Like some ponds you look at, you're like flicking out that you're waiting for a disaster to happen, sort of thing. So yeah, I'm going to get the water feeder set up there now. I've changed that wood on the outside so it's easier to pop that end panel out up in the corner there, and then I can just top up the feeder and change the settings as and when. It's no big deal. But yeah, get a few bits and bobs finished off. One thing I did do actually yesterday that I forgot to film, and I should have filmed it because I was quite shocked, to be honest, is I rodded the bottom drain. I normally do it, I haven't done it all winter actually, to be fair. In the summer I normally do it about once every month or every 3 weeks or so. And to be honest, I was really shocked of how much crap was in there. I'll just spin you around and show you a few things. So yeah, like I've said in previous videos, the pond runs on a standard Cockney Koi bottom drain that I've converted to 3-inch, and then you've got 3-inch pipe work, comes all the way down there, under the floor, one swept 3-inch 90, and that comes straight up into the nexus. Now, I've rodded the drains before. I've just got a, Christ, where is it? See that blue pipe there? It's just like a, you just attach it onto a hose pipe, and then it's just got a, like a jetting fitting on there. You can put them on a pressure washer, but to be perfectly honest, my water pressure's that good that I just stick it straight onto the end of the hose, and it does a decent job. Now, every time I've done it in the past, I've always been a bit like, oh, there's not a lot come out of there. What I do is just unscrew that bit off the nexus, shove it all the way down to the bottom drain, and then turn the tap on. Yeah, it's going to put a bit of chlorine in the pond, I know that, but all I do afterwards is I just chuck a bit of fire sulphate in afterwards to negate anything. But I've got to run it through the tap to get the pressure, to get the jetter to work good. But yeah, put it all the way down to the bottom drain, turned it on, and oh my god, the rubbish that was in the drain was unbelievable. Now you've got to remember, probably 80 to 90% of all Nexus owners are probably running on 4-inch pipework. Now I'm running on 3-inch pipework, and I'm still getting build up in my bottom drain if it's left over a certain time. My Awas pump is on, what is it on actually? 55% on a 9000 Vary, so you know there's a lot of kinks in that in the pipework now. It used to be really good, and it used to come straight up into the UV. But I'd probably say it's probably, my pond probably turns over right every 2 hours, I'd say. It's quite a slow turnover. But if you imagine that people have even got 4-inch pipework running on Nexuses and probably running that that sort of similar flow rate, you're gonna get massive build up with a 4-inch drain pipework, because you're just gonna get more settlement. Yeah, the next time I'll rod the bottom drain, I'll remember to film it. Because I was shocked, like the amount of crud that come out of there, and I'm normally pretty good with set on in my drain. It could be that I haven't done it probably. Oh Christ, probably haven't done it since probably October last year. So maybe that's why. But it does prove the point that you have got to be really, really careful with the size of pipeworks, and if you're just going to leave them alone, you've got to have almost like a bit of a maintenance routine to either rod the drain or fit a purge valve. I couldn't fit a purge valve on mine, otherwise I would have done. Just for the sheer, I ain't got the space to do it. I couldn't fit it in with the height of the pond that it needed to be, and the floor of the shed, the filter shed in here. I just couldn't do it. So the next best option is just to rod the drain. It's the same thing. Your best thing to do is get one of them, either fit it onto a pressure washer, or like I do, you can just adapt it with a couple of a hose pipe fitting, a couple of Jubilee clips, and put it. If you've got good pressure on your mains, rod your drain. The other thing that helps as well is turn your pump up to the maximum, because it will just draw that water through as fast as you can. You're only doing it for 5 minutes, it ain't going to harm anything. Get all that crap out the drains, and yeah, it'll help it along. It's you need to get that crud out your system. Even before treatments, I do it, but on a regular basis, it's good practice, because if it's I haven't got a drum on my pond, but with a strict cleaning routine, I'm essentially the drum. I'm essentially the automated drum filter itself. So my cleaning routine with the Nexus in the summer is every other evening I boil the Nexus. I come home from work, I come and see the missus, and then I'll head out to the pond, check the fish are alright, and then while I'm standing in here, I'll just press the button on the pond, turn the bottom drain off, put the pipe in, put it to boil. By the time I've stood there and checked the fish, I've boiled the Nexus, like so. I don't know whether I'm going to ever fit a drum on this pond. I'm just not sure if I've got the space to do it. It'd be a big swap round, because I've designed it round a 220, the whole pond. So it would be a big change to be able to fit a drum in, just because I haven't got a lot of space in the filter shed really, and the filter shed's part of the viewing area of the pond as well. So it would change the whole dynamic of the pond a lot. So we'll see where it goes. So I'm just going to get this panel unscrewed now. You can see the difference that I was talking about before. I've changed it to the wood on the top. It looks, I'm going to do it to the window as well. It looks 10 times better. That was just a bit of an easy solution at the time I was building the pond. But yeah, them white things are a bit of an eyesore. Now I've done it that way, I'm going to change it all to that way of doing things. So yeah, I get this panel popped out and get the feeder positioned up this end of the pond. So there we go, pop that panel out. You can actually see the pond from a bit of a different view now. Yeah, sometimes it's quite nice to just stand and have a look at it from a different perspective. It's quite nice when that window pops up. You won't have actually seen that on any videos just yet, but that flips up totally, and we sit on the bench in the summer and that sort of thing, and it's lovely. From here you can actually see the air bar working well. See that, one of the purchases I brought over from Japan. I think a lot of air bars now that are people doing like homemade ones, and I was guilty of it myself. I actually made a homemade air bar and actually blew up an air pump doing it. It was only a cheap Blagden one that I put on it, but I put too much back pressure on the, unbeknown to me, I actually put back pressure on the air pump, and I come out to the pond one morning and had this sort of like a white sort of metallic-y sort of funny scum on the top of the pond. I was like, what the hell has gone on there? And just turned everything off, and then I was like, well, it's nothing water-wise, and then pulled the pipe off the air pump that was up there on the shelf, and yeah, turned the pipe back on, and it was just chuffing out like white smoke out the air pump. I was like, oh Christ. So yeah, that was the end of the DIY air bar. So killed one air pump. It was only a cheap one, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that come from it's like a little hobbyist aquatic shop when I did my trip in Japan, in Ojiya. It's a sinking air bar. really good. I mean, that's literally just bleeding off from the from the Fuji mat. It's like super low resistance air bar, and it produces a real good current actually, to be fair. And it wasn't a lot of money. I think it was about 3,000 yen, which is, I don't know, 15-18 quid. It's bugger all really, not a lot at all. So got the auto feeder in place. I just had to put screw a block of wood to one of the legs. Yeah, just screwed it down in there. Be fine. And that will then shoot that way up the pond. So the settings on it now. I only want it to do one feed at the moment, because I'll do the feed in the morning and a feed in the evening. So I literally just want one, probably about around the middle of the day, about 12ish, something like that. Just to keep the fish ticking along, and then we can just tick the feeds up from there. Just build the filters up slowly, and yeah, should be good. That seems to be working pretty well. That's just on setting 1 on the EA auto feeder. Just thought I'd trial it out. It seems to be flicking at quite a nice distance as well. So yeah, that'll just be the one feed in the middle of the day. I probably set it for about 12 o'clock, right in the middle of the day. And yeah, and then I'll do the morning one and the evening one, and just keep an eye on the fish. Yeah, it seems to be working well, to be fair. There we go then. Doesn't look too sightly out of place over there. It's that's in a much better position than it used to be. Like I say, it used to be down in this left-hand corner here, and yeah, that's much better out of the way. And one thing it does do actually, with the air like it does, it seems to clump all the pellets right in front of the window. So that'll be quite nice if you're in the kitchen or something in the house. You can see the fish like when the feed's gone off. So yeah, I think that'll about do for this weekend. A few odd jobs here and there, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again. Bye for now.